Hi, I'm Vince Molinari, and welcome to Fintech TV's The Impact. And we are broadcasting from the iconic New York Stock Exchange, and I'd like to welcome Ara Petrosyan, who is the CEO of LA Solar, and his partner, Sam Pogosov, who is the Chief Strategy Officer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Vinny.
Well, listen, so much to talk about today. So excited about LA Solar Group. And I guess I'll start off with, started in LA, but beyond a national company, globalized. Tell us a little bit about the journey, if you would, Ara. You know, it's so exciting to hear from startup through these conversations at the New York Stock Exchange today.
Yeah, thank you, Vince. Yeah, in 2010, when we started LA Solar Group, we just want to be a solar company. We want to start a solar company. At that time, solar was one of the revolutionized industries where we want to just go green and make sure that we have environmental impact and really make the utility bills have a solution to rising utility bills. But the solar industry was new. So when the company was evolving, our company has evolved within, and we became more a industry problem solving company, which created different verticals. So we're solving the problems in the new industry, which made us to go to different verticals, and solar and just LA became less relevant after 2015. So post 2015, we became to be engaged in our business verticals in different areas where we have to start solve a problem of financing, solve a problem of the CRM technology and customer expectations, and also profitability.
Profitability, I like that part. And I'm going to come back to all the uniqueness in those different portions.
Yeah.
But all right, I wanted to hear it firsthand because I heard a bit of a story of you started the business with $400 and talk about profitability. You've kind of reinvested, and I don't think have outside shareholders, and grew LA Solar into this enterprise as a really successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, I moved to United States in 2009. Before that, I had a college from Armenia. So moving to here, I started as a solar installer. I used to install solar. I was an installer myself. I was a technician. I was pulling the permits. I was an engineer. So my background is in electrical engineering and solar renewables. So when I started LA Solar, my goal was to deliver the best to customers, where I see a lot of companies do not deliver that the way I see it's supposed to be done. So that's how I started. And at that time, I didn't need the capital because I didn't think I'm trying a starting business. I just want to solve a problem, which at that time, with my 6-month plan, I had a plan that didn't require capital. It required hard work, execution, and deliverables.
I love the entrepreneurial success. Now, I want to jump over to Sam for a second. As the Chief Strategy Officer, when you come into an entrepreneurial company that's growing so rapidly, look at the uniqueness of the multiple verticals that you have. How do you lay out the strategy? What do you conquer?
Growing pains are real. They're real pains. But no, what's most exciting is what Ara built and the solution he had for all these verticals are now truly are allowing for a set of problem solving in those verticals. So it's not so much even I'm discovering what's the new thing to strategize or solve. It's like you have these 4 solutions, we have to build up on them. So there's quite a bit that's happening. But from installation to manufacturing to in-house financing to foreign overseas expansion to smart main panel. This man is a patent holder himself as an engineer of a smart main panel that's going to drive the smart homes of the future. So there are so many verticals that it's no longer 1 or 2 or 3 person job. We have to grow, we have to expand. So it's very exciting.
So let's talk about that. Again, I'm fascinated when we look at kind of the problem solving, I guess, as the DNA of LA Solar, and really became so much more, not that solar panels wasn't enough, but by solving for a pain point, you seem to generate new opportunity, new business lines, and therefore great revenue growth. So, you know, I looked at kind of similar comparables over a 10-year period, and most of them seem to be running, if I could say it openly, 10 million plus minus in revenue, and you guys are multiple, maybe 50, 60, 70 million in revenue.
They're one-trick ponies. We do more stuff.
Yeah. So I guess that comes to diversified revenue streams, which also lend itself to a great business opportunity to have more than, as you say, a one-trick pony.
I think what happened with renewable energy, there is still a lot of problems to solve in the industry, especially in the construction and execution, and really delivering to homeowners and business owners a low cost and high quality solar energy. So I think that problem still exists, and there's different verticals to solve, and that's our focus was to, instead of growing to do a commodity business, which is just selling and installing, we took a direction to go in different avenues and have a more 10x opportunities, because those problems do exist and not a lot of solar companies are focused on that. If you look, a lot of solar companies, they just focus on growing their sales and growing their installations. Our strategic move is to just take a global problem, have enough cash flow to fund those problem in R&D, and execute and also deliver great customer experience, and really have a profitable business that will provide a 25-year warranty. If you look in the past 12 years history as solar coaster, you will see that a lot of solar companies no more in the business. And the reason is because they haven't really did the reserves and the warranties and really the quality of the work. Compared to that, LA Solar Group was so mindful about strategic, how we want to be about it. And we're one of the companies who've been in around more than 10 years.
Let me dive into that a little bit, because when I think about it, kind of fully vertically integrated, you made a decision to go to manufacturing.
Correct.
And I guess that not only controls the quality, the process, your supply chain, but also, I guess, that ability to put out those warranties.
So being a solar installation company for a 6 years period of time, we realized that installers are not being appreciated. So the most profits go to the finance, manufacturing, and other aspects of it. And in order to keep the company lucrative and have a profit share of those verticals, which is ultimately is the green energy conservation, we decided that we want to tap into those markets. And not only that, because you had different other factors where you have unstable of consistent solar panel. So we decided that we want to be in that business to just not fully just have it, but have a full impact of it. So our customers or our business that is have a 12-year plan will not hurt because the solar panels deliveries are struggling. Or we created the solartrainingacademy.com. There was a big problem with labor. We couldn't find good installers. We created the solartrainingacademy.com, so we can have a virtual technology of people can convert into solar installers virtually from home. So when they come in, we already have a workforce and transforming into real work, because there's a huge demand in the solar installers right now, and the problem still exists, and Solar Training Academy will solve the problem.
Solving more and more problems.
It's more about how we can take the technology and scale and solve the problems that we in the solar industry deal with, and real problems, rather than just keep focusing on growing sales. Because my philosophy is, if we solve the problem, the sales will come. If we solve the problem, the growth is out there. So that's why our marketing team has never been so focused on how to market the company. So because we've always had a problem with the supply, we never had a problem of demand. In past 10 years, I can proudly say that we never look for new customers. It's like we always look problems. We never look for clients.
And I think demand will continue with the new legislation that's blowing a lot of good wind into the sails of the industry.
Let's talk about legislation, right? Many times when you have a catalytic event like major legislation, particularly being pushed here in the United States by the White House, I imagine it must be beyond some good wind in your sails. It's really setting the pace for a multi-year, multi-decade positioning.
Actually, something historic happened in the past couple of days. So the biggest legislation like threat to solar is the federal tax credit. Investors and people who are interested, they're asked, if you're in solar, the federal tax credit will go away, and the subsidies can significantly impact on the growth or a reduction of the business. But a few weeks ago, Senate approved the federal tax credit 30% extension for another 10 years. So that is a historic moment. And now that legislation is going to just accelerate that and really give surety and security for the next 10 years. The solar, energy storage, electric vehicles, this whole ecosystem of energy independence the problem will be solved. And the problem is today solved because we have a low-cost solutions. As long as we can keep it that way, as long as keep executing that way and apply the technology and have a virtual scale to it, I think the U.S. Energy independence it's on the horizon. And
Well, I'd
again,
love to talk
totally
more about
possible.
that. So you bring forward or the extension of the tax credit. I'd say the efficiency and cost reduction that comes through technology. And Sam, we had this conversation earlier, which was really enlightening for me. We talk about the greater recognition of climate change, the impacts, whether we're talking about wildfires that we certainly know all about in the West Coast, unfortunately, flooding, but really this move by individuals themselves to adopt solar for energy independence themselves, to be somewhat on their own grid. Share with us a little bit on that.
Absolutely. So originally, solar started as a way to cut costs. Let's say some markets like Hawaii, who historically had very high electricity costs, they were the first ones to adopt, and they still are. But however, what we're noticing is even markets like Texas or Arizona and Nevada that have pretty cheap rates right now, they're still getting solar because they don't want to be subject to going off the grid or a disruption. The fires in California are top drivers of our Tesla battery installs, and we're one of the top installers of Tesla batteries in the state. So there's definitely a movement to be more independent and less reliant on large, oftentimes outdated grids.
So all right, I know there's a lot of other solar companies out there, both private sector and publicly traded. Where are you differentiating? What makes you so special?
Yeah, we as a company have thought about a lot in a way of how we can really differentiate because, like you said, there are many solar companies, and the story behind the history of what we have and the present what we're doing now, it really tells about specific the problems, how we can solve those problems and execute. Take the idea because idea solar is obvious. It's all about how you execute, how you have your structure, how you have how you have like geographical expansion, how you have geographical local expansion. So we call it global solar solution. We take global.
Give me that again. I got to write that down.
Global solar solution. So we take the global and local. We take what's good, the pros and cons, and global. What's the pros? Because as a local, you want your local company to install your solar. So, but the global companies have a lot of pros, but has a lot of cons. Local solar companies have a lot of pros and cons. So we as a company take the what's good about global and what's good about local, we provide a local solutions. So I think even though it's really out there because a lot of people having a really bad experience with solar companies because solar is new and not a lot of companies have a great teams who can take the idea and be so flexible and so top to down internally as an organization to implement and make sure that the customers don't feel that whether it's a pain or something new in the industry. So we're pretty good at taking something new and pioneering what's new in the industry. Energy storage, EVs, smart energy management. I think I can proudly say that LA Solar Grid is very unique compared with other companies. Just take any of those ideas and localize any global idea.
I like that, the hybrid approach of the
It
best of each. Well done. Sam, maybe a great segue. We talked a little bit about globalization and you being an international company. Maybe you can put that in perspective for us.
Absolutely, and just manufacturing alone would be very interesting to kind of oversee. So we manufacture our own panels. So we make high quality 450 watt panels. For comparison, Panasonic makes 370 watts. So they're pretty powerful and very efficient per square inch. We have a 90 megawatt plant in Armenia. It's fully tapped out. We're adding a 300 megawatt line on that, and there's another expansion possibly in Central Asia for another 400 megawatt line. The reason I say this, we already are seeing countries, governments reaching out to us, private companies in various countries saying, hey, we're looking for independence, looking for solar panels. We don't want to deal with certain Asian countries, for example, for various tariffs and other reasons. But you guys are manufacturing in Armenia, and there's no problem for that country, so please come on over. So we found ourselves in a very interesting part of the global trade flows where Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam are having a hard time coming in and supplying American demand. But all of a sudden we're coming in and we're like a little train that can, But now we're truly expanding our capacity to say, hey, it's not just us, you take it and you take it. So our whole solar panel business is actually growing. So that's an interesting thing about globalization.
Great. All right, as we close out, share us a little bit about, I guess, the next level of vision. Where is LA Solar going? There's globalization, there's growth. I think all the pain points that you're solving for here in the US are really pain points that you're solving for globally, if I'm not mistaken.
Some of the problems we have here exist. Some of the solutions are not domestic. Some of the solutions are still, it's global. So in combination of having a global presence, not only allow us to share this US product and US experience in other countries, also take that and do a synergized combination of full global operation that will give multiple effect. Let's say Europe right now, Europe has a high demand of solar panels right now because of the energy independence. And our presence in Europe, our presence in Asia will bring that shared experience and global impact to it. Because you have a lot, we do a lot of things well here in US. There's some things we need more support, but I think with this new act, even in solar panel production that we are planning to have it in US, also going to help to have boost US even manufacturing as well. So, but if we didn't have the global experience, we wouldn't even think about it because we'll just go narrow road and just do solar installation and sales. But to me, there still problems exist that is possible to solve. It's time for us at the LA Solar Group to really kind of open the valves and just kind of, it's time to put all this into realization. Energy management as a whole ecosystem. Solar is just one piece. Smart main panel is a product that we have a patent for, that it's an electrical main panel upgrade that goes to every home, that you can manage and control the loads and use your EV electricity on solar in a smart way, on your phone, conserve electricity. Electric vehicle deployment in US, as you know, it's 10xing, and it's gonna be like that. And energy storage, right? As Sam mentioned, solar is not just a luxury. Solar become a necessity as a one piece of in US to have a full energy independence. And it is our job to, as LA Solar Group, to how we can be different compared with other energy companies and renewable energy companies, to be on a smaller scale, to figure out those verticals we want to build in. It is our job in our next 3 month goal to just prove the foundation of that and just take that and lead it for next 10 years.
Perfect. Well, enjoyed hearing about LA Solar, your growth. Can't wait to hear what happens next. Love to have you back again in the future. And most importantly, thanks for joining and sharing with us today.
Thank you very much.
Vinny, thank you so much.
A pleasure.